Hello everybody, welcome back to another video for the day. Now we're diving right back into r/niceguystories, cause I've read a few of these and they're actually pretty fun to read. You know the deal, like the video, comment down below during the video if there's something you would like to start a discussion about, and afterwards consider subscribing. Let's go. Our first story comes to us from username dnote147. My trust in people have been severely strained after this incident. This is a very long story, so apologies for that, TLDR at the bottom. So this story is something that is partly my own fault, and while I have learned from my mistakes and know better now, I've become quite hesitant with stopping to help someone who looks to be struggling. Side note, please don't bombard me with comments saying how I was an idiot and too trusting, or how I did was completely stupid and such. I don't need that. I'm well aware of this. I have not made the same mistake since. Here's the cast list for this story. Me is D-Note, nice guy Tim, boyfriend Jay, friend is MC. Okay, on with the story. This happened almost 2 years ago during the summer. I was on break from work and decided to run some errands, including checking up on my oldest sister's guinea pigs and rabbit since she was on vacation at the time. After checking up on the fur babies, I stopped at a nearby gas station to get gas. While waiting at the pump, I spotted an old-looking truck stopping in the middle of the street and saw Tim hop out and start frantically checking under the hood of his car. The road he had stopped on was one-way only and was one of the roads that was an exit just before entering Post. The town I live in is next door to an army base, and with his car parked in the middle of the road like it was, other cars couldn't go past him, which was a massive traffic jam just waiting to happen. After carefully watching, I then realized that his truck wasn't starting up. This is where my good Samaritan / sympathetic side kicks into high gear. I knew exactly what this guy was going through because I used to have similar issues with my first car, which was a total piece of crap and would break down on me while driving all the time. I felt for this guy and I wanted to help him because, well, that was what a good person does, right? After I finished pumping gas, I quickly rush over and ask if he needs any help. Tim gladly accepts it, and I have him put his car into neutral so he can push it off the road and into the gas station parking lot. Another guy also came over to help us too, which the guy also thanked him for. Once his truck was off the street and near one of the pumps, I asked him if he knows what's wrong with his truck. I think he said it was probably the transmission, which it likely was from the sound of it. I tell him that I wanted to stay and help, but I had to return to work. Tim assures me that he'll be fine, but does mention that he's not from around town and is only here visiting a friend for a few days, so he wasn't familiar with the area, but said he had his phone so he could just call his friend to come get him. With that, I shake his hand and wish him good luck before getting back into my car and proceeding to pull out. But before I can, Tim quickly runs back over to me. I roll down my window wondering if he's okay. Here's where I made my mistake. He asked me if he could have my number. He said he remembered that his friend was likely still at work and wouldn't be off for a while, and while he did have a phone, he didn't have good data and wasn't able to look up a tow place. There was probably a lie. So he wanted to have my number so I could message him all the tow places in town. I, thinking that he was being genuine and simply needed some more help and still felt compelled to help this guy, happily agreed and gave him my number. Big mistake, I know. I left after that, and as soon as I made it back to work, I immediately got a message from a number I didn't recognize, which said that it was Tim. Keeping true to my promise, I sent him a link to a few different tow places in town that he could call for his truck and left it at that. A few hours later, as I'm returning home, he messages me again saying that I was a big help and he was able to call a tow truck and get it sent to a repair shop, and he was able to get a lift to a friend's place. I was glad for him and told him so, wishing him the best, and I thought that was it. It was not. Shortly after that message, he sent more messages, but nothing too pushy or forward. He asked some simple questions like, what do you do for a living, how long have you lived here, and what kind of things do you do for fun? Things of that nature. I'll admit, I can be a bit of a gullible person and tend to give people the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was just genuinely curious and his questions weren't malicious or anything of the sort. I politely responded to his questions without giving away too much about myself, and then he started asking me if I liked playing video games, and if so, what kind do I like? I said yes and gave him a small list of video games I like to play. Tim seemed pleased by this and started listing off all the different games he loved playing and even suggesting that we add each other online so we could play together. I don't really play PC games, and if I ever started doing so, I'd probably start off by playing with close friends and acquaintances. I'm very shy and don't usually like to put myself out there if I don't have to. I told him this and he seemed to accept my response. But it still did not end there. As I've mentioned in previous posts, I have a boyfriend who I've been dating for over 4 years, and we even live together and have a dog. We even talked about possibly getting married someday, even though we would technically be considered married already due to this thing about common law marriage in my state. Look it up if you don't understand. So later that same night, I was busy giving my boyfriend, who we'll call Jay, a haircut. During this, my phone started going off with an incoming call. I don't usually get calls unless they're spam or it's for something important, and since it was nearly 7 p.m. at the time, I ignored it. Upon checking my phone, I was shocked to see that it was Tim who had called me. I thought it was a bit weird, but didn't let it bother me. Maybe it was a mistake. Nothing more, right? No. The next morning, Tim messaged me again saying how he'd try to call me so we could talk more and get to know each other better, but he figured I was busy, which was true. I immediately knew where this was going and told him that while I appreciated the kind words, I was in a relationship and was very happy with my boyfriend. He seemed disappointed but accepted my answer, but asked if we could still get to know each other and still be friends, which I agreed. I thought it was kind of weird that someone who said they were only in town for a few days to see a friend would want to get to know someone who had already made it clear they weren't single and still insisted on being friends, but then I thought he's probably just being friendly and this is his way of thanking me for helping him, which I was glad to do so I tried to not let it get to me. Things got weird and uncomfortable after this. I didn't know how to take screenshots with my phone at the time, so unfortunately I don't have the messages anymore, but basically Tim kept spamming me with messages like this. Good morning, D-Note. I hope your day is as beautiful and wonderful as you are. You doing anything later? Want to meet up and play some games or something? Want to go somewhere for the dinner or coffee? My treat with a winky face. How are you today? Got any plans for this weekend? Want to hang out? I really want to get to know you better. You seem like a fun girl. Let's meet up. Let's get to know each other better. You're very beautiful. I like you and want to get to know you better. Let's meet somewhere for lunch. I'll pay. Where do you live? I'll come over and we can hang out. Want to come over to mine or you want me to come over to see you? Where do you live, D-Note? Let's get to know each other. And it went on and on and on with no stop to it. It just got worse and worse with each message and I didn't know what to do. I had already told him that I was taken and not looking to hook up, but he didn't seem to care. Mind you, he had told me that he was only in town for about 3 to 4 days, but the messages spanned for a good week or so. My replies started getting shorter and shorter, hoping that my one-word responses would hint to the guy that I wasn't interested and he was making me uncomfortable, but he kept going. I was afraid of confronting him and telling him to stop because I didn't want to be rude to someone who was probably just trying to be nice. But at the same time, his messages were making me feel so weird and even unsafe. I was worried he would actually find out where I lived and start stalking me. Yikes. What made it worse for me was that I hadn't told Jay about this incident with me helping Tim with his truck and me giving him my number. Not because I was scared he would think I was cheating, but because I didn't think it was that big of a deal, and again, I only gave him my number because I genuinely thought I was helping the dude, which I did initially, but then it escalated into something else that I didn't ask for or want. So imagine that Jay would have thought if he saw these types of messages from some random guy and how they wouldn't have come off as. Yeah, I was panicking at this point. The only one I managed to open up to about this was my friend who we'll call MC. She and her then boyfriend and the father of her son own a small local gaming shop in my hometown that's a gaming lounge with a couple of small private rooms and several tables and chairs used for tabletop games. They also sold Yu-Gi-Oh! And Smash tournaments there, and they even sell various anime merch including wall scrolls and plushie, so it's a pretty fun place to go to. One day, after finally having enough of Tim's obsessive messages and advances towards me, I went to their shop to talk to MC and ask for her opinion on what I should do. I didn't want to be mean or rude to him because I still felt that he was being friendly and wasn't trying to make me feel like this, but after showing her and another friend of hers the messages, they both agreed that he was going too far and told me to block him. After considering it for a bit, I decided to go through with it, but not before sending him a lengthy message before promptly blocking him. Though it's paraphrased because I don't have the message anymore, here's what I wrote to him. Tim, listen, I'm glad that I was able to help you with your truck, and I'm glad that we were able to get home safely, but what you have been doing has made me feel extremely uncomfortable. The only reason I agreed to give you my number in the first place was because I thought I was being helpful by giving you the contact info of some of the towing places for your truck. That's it. I didn't give it to you so we could grow closer and become more than friends. And even after telling you that I have a boyfriend who I live with, might I add, you still insist on sending me these unnecessary and uncalled for messages and disrespecting my privacy and boundaries. I realize that what I did was a mistake, and I'm sorry if I'm coming across a bit mean and harsh. That doesn't change the fact that you have made me very uncomfortable. Please do not contact me again. And then I promptly blocked him after showing MC and the other friend the message which they said was perfect. Also, I did end up telling Jay what had happened. I wanted him to be aware of this so he didn't think anything was going on. Thankfully, he was very understanding and said I did the right thing by blocking him, and even said that if he tried to contact me again to let him know and that he would handle it. I love my boyfriend. A little over a year after that, I got a different phone number after signing on to my own phone plan. While going through all of my contacts in my phone and checking to make sure nothing got changed, I happened upon some of the blocked numbers that I found that I believed to be Tim's number. It was over a year ago, so I didn't remember. Oddly enough, even though the numbers were blocked, there were still messages from the numbers saved on my SD card. I guess he had sent these after I blocked him and somehow they got saved to my phone. I don't know how the phones work, lol. There were only 2 messages, but after reading them, I knew right away they were from Tim. The date and the timestamps on both are from when I had blocked his number before, so I knew they were from him. I tried to post the screenshots of them on here, but it didn't seem to work. That or I'm an idiot, lol. But I do have the messages still, so everything below is exactly verbatim, word for word, and very uncomfortable. Definitely glad I blocked this guy. Just got out of the hospital bed since Sunday, and you have been on my mind. Would love to hang out with you. Been searching for an angel like you, XO. Hey, do you understand that I'm not trying to put you in any uncomfortable spot? But right now, I feel like you are one of the few people I can talk to that will truly listen. Been going through quite a few things, and would you be willing to meet me? Yeah, like that's gonna happen, LMAO. I'm never going to give my number to a stranger again, even if they are in need. I've been extremely wary of stopping to help someone now, man or woman, and I know not everybody had bad intentions, but my trust has been permanently broken. I'm still glad to help those if I'm able, but now when I see someone struggling with their car on the side of the road, and see that there are others around to help, I don't bother to stop. I know it sounds really shoddy, but that's just my way of staying safe. TLDR, I gave a guy my number after helping him with his truck with the sole intention of being more helpful. The guy ends up getting way too weird and personal with me even after telling him I'm with someone and creeps me out to the point of blocking him. Edit, I forgot to mention that despite becoming a total creep, Tim was actually pretty good looking. While my boyfriend and I are pretty open and honest with each other when it comes to our relationship, I am very faithful to him and would never leave him for some random guy who doesn't know what boundaries are. You know, I'm just gonna say this. It was never your fault at any point in time in that encounter or any of those encounters whatsoever. In a nutshell, this scenario was basically kindness that was basically misinterpreted as something else, and that led to him becoming a creep. So no, it was not your fault. You were trying to help somebody who was genuinely in need, and yeah, I don't think he would have stopped on the road by looking at somebody and then faked the truck being broken just to get your number. It was basically kind emotions that were misinterpreted and then misused. I hope you're doing much better now. Our next story comes to us from username Starburn. First weeks of college. I have a lot of stories to post here. I think this is a great one to start with, although I'm not sure if it counts. So this happened to me when I was a freshman in college, 18 years old, and the guy was a senior who's 22 years old. We'll call him Derek. So Derek and I met at a gaming club. His roommate was one of my orientation leaders. He was nice, and it was my first week or so of college. I hung out with people all the time my first 2 weeks of school. I think it's normal, and it just so happens I spend a lot of time with Derek. It wasn't on purpose, and I had no interest of it going romantic. I genuinely thought we were just friends. I'm not touchy, and we were constantly around other people. The only reason I even found out he had a crush was because of my RA. We'll call him Sam. Sam got weirdly involved with our lives, especially dating, and I learned that he wasn't such a great RA down the line. But he came to me 2 weeks into college and asked if I was going to date Derek rather out front. When I said no, he told me that him and Derek were friends and Derek was interested. He tried to play him up as a great guy, but I still said I didn't like him. He made me feel super guilty, saying I was leading him on and knew what I was doing, and it wasn't nice. I was taking advantage of him like that if it wasn't going anywhere, and this is a problem girls have. I felt so bad, and after our discussion, we decided if I wasn't going to date Derek, then I needed to explain to him now. After knowing him for 2 weeks, I wasn't going to date him. So I had this conversation with him. I told him, hey, I just want to let you know I'm not sure if I'm giving the wrong message, but you're a great friend and I want things to stay like that. I'm not interested in dating. Derek got super defensive about it, making direct comments about how he'd never be into someone like me. I'm just a freshman, he's got options. Seemed good enough for me that our friendship was fine. The next week or so, he got really clingy, like in my room all the time, even when I asked him to leave. If we would hang out in groups, he would cling to me like glue and even pretended not to know or know things I liked. It even got to a point where people thought we were already dating because when people asked, he wouldn't say no. I only noticed when a friend asked us both in front of a few people and I had food in my mouth. He just looked at me and said something like, I don't know, ask her. Really joking, and I almost choked on my food and like, no, not dating. And he acted hurt like this was news to him. I sat him down alone that day and was like, I need a break from you. Feel free to keep hanging out with friends, but for a while, don't come to my room or try to hang out one-on-one and tell people we are not dating. He went on to say what a nice guy he was, and I told him, I'm not saying you're a bad guy, I'm just not interested. That day, my RA came back. He asked if something happened recently, obviously knowing about the conversation. I explained I just need a break. I talked to him and he suggested I need to. His response? Well, how do you expect a guy to react when you're playing mind games? First, you lead him on, and then you play hard to get. What do you want him to do? I explained I wanted to just be friends. At this point, I don't know how much clearer I can make it. I did as he suggested, and I didn't know what more I could do or how this was still my fault. RA kept insisting that Derek was a nice guy, and I should just give him a chance. He acted like it was my only option there. Derek kept showing up to my room. He came in when I asked him not to and sat on the floor. I left him with my roommate and went elsewhere. He asked my friends what they were doing, if they were meeting me, and he showed up to the plans. This happened even if it was to study something specifically, all math then, just him. I asked him again to back off, and again my RA got involved later in that day, saying I needed to put boundaries for him to understand, still saying it was my fault for not clarifying enough. He texted to meet with me while the RA was talking. I met him in the kitchen opposite the lounge where the RA and my friends were sitting. Derek just cried and cried about how I was the one. I was like, dude, I've only known you for a month. I just started college. He went on how what a nice guy he was and how he deserved this chance, and his efforts were showing how hard he was trying, and he was better than the other guys, and was older, able to support soon. He got louder, and I frankly just shut down. I said this. Honestly, I don't think we should be friends at all anymore. You hang out with your friends, me with mine. I have known you for a month and I just turned 18. You're 22 and this is way too much. Find someone in the same milestone as you because this is just a lot. He started screaming and got louder to the point other people started to check the kitchen. Even the RA who had held it was my fault for so long. When Derek noticed, he asked me to come with him somewhere private. I refused and he got angrier until I just walked towards my friend and RA left him there crying on the floor. Before RA could comfort him, he ran out. RA did apologize, saying Derek painted a different picture than he saw, but I am still salty about how it went down. Yeah, I'm pretty certain that the biggest red flag that I can think of for getting the heck out of Dodge is when they start to devolve into a little crybaby when you say no. You know, just like one of those nope, not having it kind of attitudes. See, what really sucked is that whole RA guy that didn't believe you when you said, yeah, this guy's being creepy. Oh no, you should just go and like him. You should be with him. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't want to back you up. I wouldn't go for it if it was like a cringy wingman or anything. No, I'm out. But with that is going to have to be it with the video. If you had liked what you had seen, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below what you liked about the video, start up a good old discussion, and consider subscribing and turning on those notifications. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.